Hi everyone, I'm John Gottfried here at LaunchHack, the inaugural MLH UK event. And I'm here with Mark, a secondary school teacher here in the UK who brought 12 students with him to this event to hack on some awesome technology. So Mark, tell me a little bit, what school are you from, what do you teach, what years, what's kind of the background here?
So I teach students from age 11 up to about age 16, and I teach them computer science at Bourne Grammar School, which is in South Lincolnshire.
Okay. So computer science is fairly new here in the UK as a secondary school curriculum. How did that come about, and how long have you been teaching it for?
So computer science has just sort of come into the curriculum this September. For most schools, it's now compulsory for all primary school and secondary school students to study computer science as part of the national curriculum. Before that, it was ICT, so it was a lot of office applications and things like that the students used to learn. It all sort of got pushed this way by some changes. So there was, I forgot the name of it.
That's okay.
There was the Next Generation report, Next Gen report that came out a couple of years ago that was sort of really pushing computer science in schools and saying that students should be doing a lot more computing. And the government sort of took notice of that and decided to push the curriculum that way. So since September, all schools are supposed to be teaching computer science.
Yeah. So I know there's a lot of focus on this kind of STEM education, both in the US and UK, and really all over the world now. And I'm kind of curious, like, how do you think hackathons play into that, and why did you decide to bring your students to this event?
I mean, learning computer science is all very fine. They learn to code, but it's really nice for them to sort of see the community that's sort of out there, and it gives them a bit of enthusiasm. So I brought students along. They've only been coding for a month. My students. It's only been a few weeks that they've been learning how to code. But bringing them here, they've been sort of really enthused and really excited. As soon as they got here, they were straight into Google and learning as much stuff as they possibly could in order to be able to put their apps together. So it gives them the enthusiasm, and it gets them to see what other hackers are doing and what other people are producing and making and what code can actually do, and how powerful it is, which they don't really get to see too much of in school. It's only by coming to events like this that they can really get an idea of what you can do.
Yeah, I certainly wish I had the opportunity to be part of a hacker community when I was growing up, and we studied Visual Basic, which was not fun. And I always find that when we go to these events and students are coming for the first time, that it changes how they look at computer science. Oh, crap. Is that going to be picked up?
Yeah. Do you want to do a rehearsal? Go into the auditorium now.
Just start that one again.
Okay. To start my rant over. What was I saying? So, I wish I had the opportunity to go to hackathons when I was a student. I remember they taught us Visual Basic, but it was not very fun. And I've always found that when people enter a hacker community like this for the first time, it really changes how they think about computer science, because it's no longer this distant kind of academic thing, right? It's very real and very practical and fun, and it definitely changes people's perception. So I've seen students here, your students, coding in Python, coding in JavaScript, doing a whole range of things. What are they learning in school, and kind of what's the progression here of topics?
So when they first come in year 7, their first few weeks, we teach them some basic computing concepts using Scratch, which is a graphical user sort of programming language, a graphical programming language. Then we quickly move them on to do a bit of HTML and CSS, so they get an idea that although it looks just like text, it actually does something else. And then after they've been doing that for about 3 or 4 months, we move them over into teaching JavaScript. And so I've got loads of resources I've created all based around using JavaScript and doing some basic computing in that. And that more or less continues then throughout their first 3 years of computer science. They do a lot of JavaScript work, really get used to coding in that language and the sort of fundamentals of computing. GCSE, we switch them over into Python. And they start learning how to do Python, and that's the programming language they use to do all their coursework and the controlled assessments that they have to do as part of the examination process.
So is it all front-end JavaScript, or is there some Node too?
At the moment, it's all front-end JavaScript. What I might do with my GCSE students is, after they've done some Python and they get used to that, is I might introduce some Node with them next year to do some web apps and stuff like that. But with the Key Stage 3 students, yeah, it's front-end JavaScript. And I do that because they can run it. It just runs in a browser. They don't need any special environment to do it. They can code in Notepad if they want, or Sublime Text, or Emacs we use. So they can code in all those things and still just get to run it in Firefox, and they don't have any problems installing software on the systems.
Yeah. So as a beginning programmer, how is JavaScript, right? Because it uses a lot of concepts that aren't really present in something like Python or Ruby or PHP.
Yeah, I sort of avoid all that. Don't mention it too much to them. So we sort of avoid callback hell and all of that kind of stuff. We don't really go into it. I tend to keep the resources really simple. So they are really just learning the basic concepts, loops and functions, conditional statements, that kind of stuff. I use a great little resource called Fruitbots, which is like an online game where they have to code a robot to move around a grid and pick up fruit, and they compete against each other with that. So they do that, but it's fairly basic JavaScript. Yeah.
So why should students learn to program? Let me ask you. Why should students learn to program at all? I mean, there's a lot of debate over this in the U.S., and the opinion tends to be that people should learn it, but there's certainly pushback against it, and people saying that it's not really a core skill. Like, what do you think?
I don't think it's essential for everyone to learn to program. I think it's essential for everyone to have the opportunity to learn to program. I think that's really important. Everyone gets a chance to see whether they like it, see whether they enjoy it, and have those opportunities. And it's more or less inevitable that you are going to be dealing at some point in your life, no matter what job you're doing, you're going to be dealing with developers. And you should, I think, have a sort of understanding of what they're doing. Technology is so prevalent in our lives now that you just can't get away from it. So I think it's important that everyone gets an idea of what coding's all about. They don't think that the impossible can be done. They realise that it takes a lot of work and it can be quite tricky, and how powerful it can be. But then I think it's really important that everyone gets the opportunity to have a go, and if they like it, then become into that career path. And we've got a huge number of devs that are required around the world. I mean, in my own town, speaking to businesses, and they say they just can't hire developers. They have to hire from London all the time. There's no local developers, and hopefully with the curriculum changes that will change. We'll see a lot more local talent.
Yeah, I mean, I remember looking up at statistics in the US, and what I found was that about 40,000 students graduate from university with a computer science degree every year, and there's somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000 new job openings. Right, so there's this huge gap there. Yeah. How did you get into programming? Because you haven't always been a comp sci teacher.
No, I've only been programming for about 3 years myself now. So yeah, I'm fairly new to it still myself. I just when I could see that curriculum change coming in and the ICT was slowly being faded out, I decided I had to sit down and learn how to program. So I signed up for a couple of online courses, taught myself some Python, taught myself some JavaScript, and then I've been a bit of an evangelist ever since and tried to push it as much as possible in my school.
That's great. Any parting words for all of the secondary school students who might be watching?
Yeah, I think just everyone should try and get involved in these kind of events. Come to hackathons, persuade your teachers to bring you down and see what fun it can be and how awesome it is.
Thank you so much, Mark. That was great.